Hi, this is Mike Bale with Banger Inc. Today's live stream is going to be dealing with getting started with project accounting and job costing in Sage Intacct Construction. What we're going to go into first is take a look at some of how the information and data output looks in the system once the project construction accounting is up and running. We're going to go into something called dashboards. And in dashboards here, you can have a default look and view based on the individual needs or the user needs when they log into the system. So one of the samples we're going to go into first is a dashboard called Project Performance. And inside Intacct, you have the ability here to view information that is relevant to what you want to see on a day-to-day basis. So for example, if I was a project manager, I may want a look and feel like this, where I can see some triggered data on the top here as far as project margin goes, active jobs. I have a project overview here where I can see the projects listed. As a project manager, you can have additional filters on top. So for example, you just want to see a particular group of projects, like only our quarries or hotel types or different regions. You can filter this way. You can filter based on dates. And most common here would be, for example, if I just want to see a particular group of projects, like the hotel projects, I can click on the warehouse group or the hotel group, and I can click apply. And then you'll notice here now the overview dashboard is going to change. One of the other things I can do is I can work specifically in an entity. So if I'm involved in the Timberline General Construction Company, I can flip over to that. And then I can dig in a little bit deeper just in that area. And also as a project manager, maybe I just want to see my projects. So you'll notice here when I come into my projects, if I'm Greg, there's a filter already applied here so that Greg only sees his projects, which is 3 projects here. And then you can see you get a different look and feel. So if you want a project profitability with projects across the top, you can see it there. Different look and feel. What customers are we working in? What's the profitability by customer? And then some graphical information as well. What's really nice with the dashboards is they're interactive. So if Greg wants to drill in and see why is my cost so high here, I can click on the amount and I can open up another window and another report, which is a transactional view. There's all my payroll. You want to see some of my subcontractor information, Jackson Heating. If I want to see some details about that subcontract, I can click on it and it'll keep drilling in deeper into the system. And all this is done from the dashboard. So you notice here, I'm now in the actual AP bill record and I can see the information in the bill. Okay. And if you just close this out, it'll take you back to the dashboard. Okay, so let's remove the filters from that project manager. We'll click clear here and apply, and that'll bring us back to our default view, which is all the projects in this entity. And you can see here we have some projects. And what we're going to do is we're going to go through setting up the initial project, and then we're going to start kind of filling in these buckets, these fields for you, and show you how that works inside Intacct. So let's go into creating a job under Dashboards, Projects. And we'll go right into the project section here under all, and we're going to click plus and just set up a new job from scratch. So on this screen, I'm going to give it a user ID. We're going to call it job 24-001. We'll give it a project name, and we will call it Acme Warehouse. And then you could define it and report on the different types of projects. So this is going to be a contract job. You can define your own project types. We'll say this is a commercial, or actually a warehouse project. Give it a further description. Begin date, end date, we'll say it's going to begin on January 1st. We don't have an end date on it yet, and the project status is active. Down in the middle section here, you can apply different contact information. So for example, what is the customer information? Oh, excuse me, we skipped the customer here, which is right here. So who's the customer? We'll say it's Grocer Association. And my primary contact will be Grocer Association as well. And same thing here. So we'll fill all that in. But you can have a different ship to, build to, all of that information can fill in down here. One important step here is we'll say who is the project manager. So we'll pick our project manager and we'll add it to Greg. So he's going to be the project manager. And then basically there's some additional information you can fill out if you want to, but we'll go down to the billing section here and just put in some terms and what type of billing is it. This is going to be a fixed fee or schedule value progress billing. You can do both time and material and fixed. And you could record some dimensions. So here's where we're going to tag, all right, what department is this? This is going to be our commercial department. And what entity or company or location is this project related to? So if it was specific to a particular location like Dallas, Houston, Kansas City, you can fill that in. In this case, we're just going to put it to Timberline Construction. Okay, and at this point, I'm going to click Save to get my project set up. And you can click Save at any time. So we'll click Save here, and that will set up my project in the system. You'll notice it'll be down here at the bottom now. And I can enter into it and edit it and view it at any time I want going forward. So what you'll notice now is once you save it is you have the ability down here to do some additional setup as far as budgeting goes. We're going to put in a GL budget ID here. So you could define different types of budgets, but we're going to put in what's called primary project for our estimate, which we'll do next. Okay, and then there's some invoice options, and then we have two new tabs here called cost codes and estimates. So this is where you're going to set up the cost codes that are linked to this project and also the budget or estimate that is entered in the cost budget for this project. So we're going to do that next. So let's just click Save again. And now what we have the ability to do is put in our cost budget. Cost budgets can be integrated in automatically. There's multiple products that do interface with the Sage Intacct where you can have the cost estimate budget come in automatically. In this case, we'll go to Projects, Setup, Project Estimates. And you can see here's all the projects, the estimates that have been put in to the system prior. Now what you can do is you can add them on the fly individually. So for example, let's just go into this first one here. If I wanted to put in a project budget, I could set up an actual budget name. It's my primary estimate. And down here at the bottom, I could key in my details of the project manually, line by line, individually key them in. Okay. What you can also do is you can import. So for today, I do have a spreadsheet. They're all based on templates. So if I pull up my spreadsheet template, I have a spreadsheet I've created here with all my line items already in it. And it's a pretty simple, straightforward template that can be populated in manually or copied in or generated out of another system. So I'm going to import in these lines, these cost lines automatically. Now how you can do that is you can go right into Project Estimates and you can click Import Estimates with WBS. And what that's going to do is that's going to also set up your cost code and cost type lists at the same time so you don't have to build the list ahead of time as well. So we'll click on Import Estimates. And we'll click Choose or File. So we're going to grab that file and I saved it in my download folders and I believe I have it right here. It needs to be a CSV file. Select that. Tell it where you want the results to email to, and you click Import. The system will go through and import the data for you and analyze it, and it will also alert you if there's any errors or issues with the file. And you'll see here we have none, and it was successfully imported one project estimate. And it's as simple as that. So we'll click Done, and if we refresh the screen, you'll see now I called it 24001. There's our estimate, our current estimate for the Acme warehouse. The estimate is 2.8 million. If I go click and take a look at the entries, there's all the cost estimate entries that we imported in. So that has now we have our budget in the system. Now what you can also do is create and set up your project contract. That can be based on a contract-based schedule value, progress billing line items, or it can be setting up a rate table for time and material invoicing. In this case right now, we're going to go and actually set up this project contract as a schedule value with progress billing line items in the system. So we'll go back to projects. We'll go over to all, and all the way down at the bottom here, you have project contracts. You can click plus to set one up on the fly, and you can also click on the contracts line here to see a list of all the contracts that you already have set up in the system. So in the same scenario as before, you could go in and manually key and enter in each of your schedule value line items. What you can also do is import in project contract line items if you already have them somewhere outside the system and you want to import them in so you don't have to rekey them. What I do like to do first, you can import and set up the project contract, which is what I call the header record, but I like to set that up just manually. It's quick enough, and then I can make sure all the fields are ready to go. You can also duplicate that off of a prior contract as well, or a template. So we're just going to go in here and click add. And typically we recommend setting up your project contract ID, same as the job number. You could fill out a separate contract name. What I like to do is pull the contract up and copy the name in, because the contract name is really irrelevant to me as far as that goes, but yours might be set up differently. As soon as you select a project, it brings in the customer for you, and it pre-fills the contract date as today. And I'm just going to backdate it here in January 1. And it's going to be a fixed price contract. You can link an architect to it. Is it billable? And you can also attach files. So if you have an actual a copy of your contract agreement, you can attach it here as well. This is an active contract. And if I scroll down, the only thing we really need to do here, and this is where a template does come in handy, is I need to fill in that I want to send a contract amount budget over. And these are already set up, but you just have to link it to the what's called the project contract budget for both original, revised, and anything approved and pending. So I like to just fill these all in. We're not going to do anything with forecasting now, so we'll leave those blank. But as far as how do you want the transactions to post in this scenario, we want them to be the date that's on the contract line. And this is intentional because down the road, if you set up a change order, you may want the contract amount changed as of the change order date. So this will do that for you. And at that point, I've set up my header. There is a billing details tab. We'll just go over to it. And really the only thing over here is to put in how you want your draw number formatting. So application 001 or whatever. So the last number would be 0 in this case. And that's it. I'll click save, and that's going to create our header. So if we notice here, I got my project right there. I don't have any amount in the system yet. And just like before, I did I already have a spreadsheet set up for my template for contract values. And so you can see here's my schedule values that I want to populate. And this is going to be based on your needs here. Comes in very handy if you have a large list of schedule values. If you have 200, 300 lines, you can easily put them in here and import them in. So I've set this all up, and we'll do the same thing. We'll come into here now and we'll import project contract lines. We'll come into here and choose file. You can download your template to import right from here. We'll click choose file. We'll grab the right file, 24001 project contract lines, pull it in. Same thing. Where do you want your results to send to? Click import. And we had some errors. We'll go check them out. Okay, so what I'll do is over in my email, there is an email notification on why it rejected here. So you get an email automatically from Sage. We can scroll down and we can see here, unable to create records. Ensure that the project ID matches the project used in the project contract. So let's close this for now, and let's open up that Excel sheet again. And let's take a look, and oh, there it is right there. So I copied this template over from another project, and I have the wrong job on that project. So you can see here that it does check and make sure everything is going to import in correctly. So we're just going to come into here and change that number to the correct project. we'll do a quick scroll through to make sure nothing else is out of place, but it looks good. We'll just hit save, shrink that down, and we'll do the process again. So we'll go import project contract lines, choose the file. There it is. Pull it in and click import. And you can see here that that was the issue. It successfully imported in 11 project contract lines, and I just got a confirmation in my email alerting me of so. Okay, so now that the contract's in there, I'm going to hit refresh. And I can see for the Acme warehouse, now I have a contract amount in the system. Okay, so let's go back to our main screen now. Now, one of the things you can do in the system is, as we dig in a little bit further, is you could turn on approval workflows all throughout the system. So, for example, if I wanted in my maybe subcontracts or purchase orders, if I wanted to set up some approval policies, you could do that. I can come into my configuration here, and most of the approval setups are done in your configuration. So I can scroll down, and usually there's a section in the configuration for approvals, and you'll see it here. I could enable the purchasing approval, and then you can manage your policies. So you might have, excuse me, I need to be at all of your configuration settings need to be done at what's called the top level. So I just need to flip over to that. So once I get to the top level, I can go back into my configurations, and this would be in all different areas. So for example, accounts payable, setup, configuration, and then once you're in here again, you'll look for the approval functionality, and we'll just scroll down till we find it here. So I can turn on approvals for bill payment, for enable bill approval, enable payments for checks when checks are generated. So let's say we want to turn on our bill approval, and then we can send, you want to send out email notifications? Yep. And then we can click manage, and inside here, you could build different rule types. So they can be based on value, a certain value level. They can also be based on managers. So there's different levels of approvals you could turn on here. And that goes true for, like I mentioned, like in purchasing, I can come into my configuration in purchasing and do the same thing. So for example, down here, I can go to manage my policies, and I can turn on or add a policy in this case. And this is what's really nice, is you can do different approval workflows based on the type of purchasing document. So if it's a purchase order, it's going to follow this process. If it's a subcontract, it's going to go in and require this information. So you can do this, and you could build rule types again, just like before. You can build it based on value, department head, employee manager, or I like this one, the transaction project manager approval. So whoever the project manager on that project is that the subcontract's being written for is the one who's going to get the approval notification. So we just wanted to mention that in the system. So we're going to not turn any of these on right now. And the next step, let's go in and actually set up a committed cost. So we'll go, actually, we're in purchasing already. So let's go in, and now that we got our budget in, we got our contract in, let's go in and let's set up a subcontract. And you can do a subcontract, a purchase order. You build these workflows and you turn them on and off to what documents you need. So inside a subcontract, I can click plus to add a new one. It'll pre-fill with today's date. I can select my vendor. We'll say Jackson Plumbing. I could select which project I'm for, and now you'll notice again, I only see these projects because I'm working at what's called the top level. And in reality, we have security set up, so I want to be at the entity specific. I have the rights to Timberline General Construction, so apologize for that. I forgot to flip when I was showing you the approvals. So I could switch right away, right into Timberline General Construction. And now if I select that vendor, now you don't have to use your list. If I just type in Jack, it'll pre-fill in all the vendors that have Jack in the name. So in this case, let's actually use Jackson Heating. And now you can notice here, now I see all the projects for that for that entity. So I can just type in 24 or type in Acme, and there's the job. Okay, so it'll pre-fill in all the pay to, return to, delivery to. If it was a purchase order, I might have some delivery to information. All of the vendor terms have pre-filled in. This can all be changed and made specific at the project level. Let's see here. So do I want retainage on this subcontract agreement? We'll say, yep, let's leave it on there. And then you have some miscellaneous information you could fill out if you want to actually generate a subcontract document. You have shipping dates, scope of work, schedules, internal references, external references, all kinds of fields in here that you can add to and put on the form. So in this case, let's just select the project. And we'll say which cost code that we imported the budget for earlier. This is our list, and we'll just say it's for HVAC. And they're going to be our subcontract, so we're going to grab our cost type of subcontract. And then it's a matter of whether you want to fill in quantities or just flat amounts. And in this case, it's a subcontract, so we're not too concerned with quantities, so we're just going to enter in a price. And we'll say the price is $80,000. And retainage can be specific to the line. We'll say, yep, it's 10%. And at that point, I can post it. You can do a draft if you're not ready for it yet. You just want to key it in, set it up as a draft, get it in there, and then review it later. But we're going to hit post. And what that's going to do is that's going to generate a committed cost transaction into that project. And you'll notice here, there's Jackson Heating. And now we have this subcontract agreement in here. And we can print it. So if you did have a document and you wanted to send or email out the subcontract document, you can do that real time. And this would be the form that you want to use. So we use Word Editor to define these documents. So this can be built any way you want it to be built. And you can do that yourself as well. So here's a subcontract document. And we won't send it out now, but you could. So now that that commitment's in there, that'll sit there as a committed cost. And now what's nice is when the bill comes in the system, whoever receives the bill can come into here, and you'll notice there's this convert button. So right from this subcontract agreement, you can click convert, and it'll ask you where, it'll give you the available options for what you can do here. In this scenario, we can convert it to a subcontract invoice or an accounts payable invoice. So if we click it, what is nice is it brings you right into the screen and pre-fills all the information. And then there's a few required fields. So you need a vendor document or invoice number. So if the vendor invoiced you, what's their invoice number? And then really the only thing you need to do is determine if they're invoicing you for the full amount or a different amount. So let's say if it was just $40,000, you can come down into here and say they're invoicing us for $40,000. And just have a remaining in there. So let's say it is today's date, and we can hit post, and that will actually post to your accounts payable into your general ledger and a job cost into the job costing system. Okay. Now you can also do change orders on that. So if you had a subcontract change order document, you can click here and hit the plus. And I can pull up my vendor, and that was Jackson Heating. What's the project again? 24. And what I can do here now is I can come down into here, and I can list the default scope document. So there's the document that, and I believe you do want to make sure that that number structure is set up the way you want it, but I believe it was this one here should be the latest number. And once you do that, now you have the ability to add to the existing subcontract line, or maybe they were doing some additional work and it's a new cost code. You can add a new line as well. So in this scenario, we'll say we're just going to add it to the existing line. It pre-fills all the information in. There's the original $80,000. And what you can do here is say we're going to do another $6,000 here. And I could have put in a better description in the system as well, as far as what type of scope of work they're doing. We'll just say more work, and it's change order number 1. You can see that here, and then you can fill out more information as well. and we can post this. Now, again, you can do documents here for subcontract change order documents and have those email and send out as well. But if we go back into that, you'll notice now down at the bottom here, you'll see a revised extended price for that subcontract document. And as far as the change process on the other side now, let's assume that now we're going to invoice the owner for this change, so we can come into projects here. And what you can do in the system is under change management, you can set up a change request so you can track the pending change requests in the system, and then also take those change requests and turn them into project change orders. So let's go in and create a change request. And normally I'm assuming this would probably have been the first thing we did, but maybe we had to get the subcontract change order in there so that we can get them working on the project. And now we're going to catch up on our owner change order side. So we'll come into here and we'll click add. And we'll pick our project number. What's the date of the change? What's the status? So I could put it in right as approved if I want, or if I was tracking pending, I could start it at pending. So let's do that. We'll start it at pending. You can define your own change request types here. We'll just call it a change order request. And we'll just call it another water heater. Okay. Say it's going to be effective as of today. And we can have a particular change order document. Again, you can send out the actual document to the owner to sign. And we'll just select this one for now. And then who do you want to send this form to? So you can actually send out the change request form for approval out to this individual contact or company. We'll send it to Grocers Association. And we do not have an existing change order yet in the system. We're tracking the pending. So we don't really have anything set up here yet for that. You could attach files as well. And, put a scope in, all of that good stuff, just like you saw in the other areas. So in this scenario, we're going to fill in the project, and that's going to be Acme Warehouse. What cost code is this going to be for? Now, this is for the estimated cost side because we're going to do two things here. We're going to enter in an approved estimated cost change to the budget, and then we're going to also do a change to the contract. So we can do them all in the same spot here. So the cost side is going to affect that cost code and subcontract. And again, you can put quantities in or not. I'm just going to skip it and put a cost in here. And we'll say the cost is $6,000, I believe is what we said. And we're going to quote them $8,900. You can apply markup percentages to it. In this case, we're just going to key in a value for our price, a value for our cost, and click post to save it. It really should be save here, not post, but it says post. Because it's a pending status, it's going, when I click post here, it's going to update the contract values and the estimated cost changes as pending until we approve it. So you'll notice here we have this change request in the system. And let's say, for example, there was another one out there. Let's just set up a second one, Acme project, and we'll do the same thing. It's pending. It's a change order request. It's new doors. And we'll just fill out another one here. We don't actually need the form. We're not going to send it out. Let's just come into here and say it's Acme. Oops, did I pick the right one? I did not. I guess I got two Acmes in here. So let's grab the right one and we'll say, let's see what we got here. We got some doors. Let's do some steel doors. And it's going to be subcontracted out as well. And we'll say it was $3,000 cost, and we'll go easy on 5,000. Okay, so we have that in as pending. We'll post that. So now we have two change requests in the system there. You can see them right here in a pending status, and you can manage your views here and track, just pending change requests that are pending, not approved. So you can see here, if I want to, as a project manager, just filter and see my change requests and where they are in the process. You can manage that all with views, custom views in here. So at this time now, the owner comes back and says, okay, go ahead and bill us, get it on the contract. We could turn those change requests into project change orders. So we can come into here, hit project change order. We'll grab the right project. We'll say, yep, they came back right today. Description. In this case, we're just going to call this change order number 1. Okay, and you can have a document for this, and you can send out a formal change order document as well. I'll show you one of them here. We have project change orders with change requests. Who do you send it to? And now what it wants is, because we're getting it ready to set up the schedule values or add to the schedule values, it wants to know what item it needs to go to. And usually I just recommend setting up one for the contract price and one for the change order amount. So we're going to point it to that one. And with duplicating, this is where you can duplicate some of these settings. What project contract is it related to? So here's the project contract that we imported in previously. We're going to link it to that. And now which one of these line items do you want to link it to? So you can either add a change to an existing line item, or you can actually create a new line item. And this is what's typically done. And what's really nice is you can do it right here. So I can click add. That takes us into the project contract line area that we imported in last time. And I forgot my number, so let's hit cancel here. What's my next number? 11, so the next number is 12. So we click add. And we'll say line number 12. And we're just going to call this line number change order number 1. And that's what's going to show up on the bill. You do need a revenue account, so we'll put in a revenue account here. And this is, we're going to do retainage on this. And it's a progress bill. I'm not going to fill in any of this information. I've already done that at my change order. I do want to make sure my proper dimensions that I want to track are set up. So for example, I've been filling in commercial for department. And the project's going to be the Acme warehouse. And it does want that contract value again, which is, I'm going to use the change order line. And that's what I need there in this scenario. Now, what I'm not going to do is add a price here, because this is the original price, and we want that to be blank for this line. We want the amount to show up as a change order. So we're done here. Let me take a look at the billing details just to make sure there's nothing else I need here, and I do not believe I need anything else. And I'll click save. So what that does is that links it to our new contract line item, change order number 1, which is line item number 12. And in this scenario, I'm going to, this is approved, so I'm going to select this as approved. And I'm going to take a look at my additional information. I don't need to fill out anything there. And the only thing you need to do before you have the ability to link them to change requests is you have to physically come here and save this header first. So when I click post, it saves the header, which is right here. And you can go right back in. And now you'll notice on the right here, you can select all the available change requests that are ready to go. So I can click that. And you'll notice there's all the available ones. And the owner said, hey, bill this all under one line. So, select change request 14 and 15 and bill them under one line. So you can select both those change requests. Click add selected. And it will return those back to the project change order screen. There's your detail, and there's your total. So you can see here you have a total price, and then you have a total cost. Okay. At that point, I'm going to post it again, and that will save it. And now that will take those pending amounts that were on the contract and the estimated cost and put them over to the approved values in the system automatically for you. And if I want to do a printout of that change order, I can hit print or email here. And let's take a look. And there it is. And this one shows change request detail. And again, this can be edited and changed to what you guys want to see on your forms. Okay. Oops. So we have gone through the flow of entering change orders, entering commitments, entering budgets, and contract values. So what we can do now is we can go in and actually bill. Let's say we're ready to bill the amount to the owner for the project. So we're going to do our first draw. So in projects, you can come over to projects, invoices, and generate invoices. And what we're going to do here is we're going to switch over to what's called project contracts. We're going to pick our contract. So there's the 24001 that we imported in prior. Let's say we're billing through March 31st, and our invoice date's going to be March 31st as well. Okay, so from here, it's going to select the proper form that we want to use. So this would be our progress billing form. And we could generate this document as a draft. So if you want your project managers to come into here, generate a draft pay app, and then have somebody else come in here and approve it and post it, you can do that. So you can do a draft. But in this case, we're going to do submitted and posted. I'm going to click preview. And that's going to give us a view showing us the schedule value lines. Notice here I got 0 to bill right now, but it's going to pre-fill all the information that we just selected earlier. There is some billing options here. You don't have to fill those out. The only thing you do have to fill out here is your current billing app. So you can see the last one was 0. So this is our first app, APP1. And down here in the detail, you have the ability now to see all your schedule values. Notice there's our approved change order that we entered in earlier. There's our contract value. Any previous build would show up here. And you could do two things. You can fill in an amount to bill or a percent to bill. So if we say, you know what, we're going to bill 25%, you know, we can say 50, oops, not 500, but 50. Or we can come into here and say bill 100,000, and it'll backfill the percent. So let's bill 25, and we'll bill 15 here. Okay, so you would go down here and enter in your information. And you'll see your total at the top. That's going to be my invoice amount. And I can come into here and click Create Invoice. And what that does is now creates an invoice record that you can preview and send out via email or print. And we can view it over here in Projects, Invoices, View. Print or email would be used if you wanted to mass email out all your invoices that were done this week all at once. In this case, I just want to view it and send it out individually. So you'll notice there's the one we just did, project contract. I could come into here and hit print or email, print. And again, this form is customizable as well. So this can be exactly how you want it to show on your system. But there, as you can see, our application, page 1, and then our detail underneath here. So you can send that out. And basically that is processed and posted in the system automatically. If I go over to accounts receivable and look at invoices, you'll see that invoice right here, and it's a posted invoice. It's $352,000 waiting for cash receipts. So we've gone through a lot of the, the life cycle of the project from start to finish. Last but not least, what we'll do is let's take a look at some reports and kind of see how that information accumulated all throughout the system as we were going through it. So for example, there's a nice report in here under financial reports. And one of the reports here is a project overview. So let's go here and preview that project overview. And we could date range that, and I'm just going to do end of the month so we can see the revenue on that. You could select a particular location or one project if you want to. So let's just grab our Timberline General Construction, click OK. And here you can see our project that we were doing. So there's the Acme warehouse that we set up. There's our contract amount. There's our estimated cost, our estimated gross profit, and our profit percentage. And now you can start seeing all the stuff that we've been doing in the system, how it's accumulated throughout. So there's our committed costs we put in. There's our total build, and there's our total cost. So any one of these fields we can drill down in. And now I can see my subcontract, which was $80,000. the change order, which was 6, and I can drill down into here if I want to keep going. So I can say, all right, $6,000 change order, you know, and you can drill into it and keep going into the system. Get back to the main screen, and now we want to take a look at some costs. So there's that $40,000 invoice that Jackson Heating sent to us. I can click on that and get back to the bill information. Now, this kind of sums up in a nutshell all of the data and the workflow we went through during the system setup. And that is basically going to conclude our overview of the project accounting and job cost functionality in Sage Intacct. Any comments or questions, please put them in the section here below this video. And thank you very much. Have a good day.